Good morning. It's a
Hello.
great big beautiful tomorrow.
Is it though?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Did you check?
Well, I mean, technically not yet. It's
I
not
was-
the end of the day. So, yeah.
Technically, it'll never be a great big beautiful tomorrow because tomorrow never comes.
Okay, James Bond.
I'm just saying.
Tomorrow never
If-
dies.
If you wanna, if you
Right.
wanna be real about it,
I just thought it'd be fun to do something ever, like to have like weird music hiding in the, or not hiding, but like sitting in the background just before we fade in.
we're also on a
Okay.
Disney hype.
Yeah, that too.
That's the real reason.
Shut Don't you ruin my fun.
Oh, I've already ruined
Don't
it.
get too
though.
hyped and build your expectations.
Temper your
You might be let
expectations,
down.
Abby.
Mm.
Anyway, so today we're
Wait.
talking about what? Yeah,
hear us
it's there.
In the
We'll leave it
background.
alone.
Oh, okay.
We are talking about Xbox Live stealing your free speech.
Well, not really stealing. They're just implementing a service.
They're being speechist.
That's a way to put it. Speechist.
Speechist.
Yes. They don't like my slanderous speech.
So, what was their official statement on it?
He
Just
quite literally said Xbox Live is not a free speech platform. We want to create a service and an inclusive space for all gamers.
Well,
So, what do you guys
well
think of
weren't,
that
weren't
idea?
there like age restricting things about it?
like
Like you only play within a range of certain people to where you could like curse and it wouldn't matter.
might be.
I've not heard anything about
I'd say
that.
there's
Well,
no way
why
they
don't
can.
they just do that?
Because kids are just gonna
Because
lie.
like adults will play with adults, and then you can curse all you want.
I mean, when the MSN gaming zone was a thing, I was 18.
I was like, kids are just gonna lie about their age.
Yeah, but then
When's your birthday? We're
yeah,
just gonna keep
but
scrolling on
then
that.
it's on them. It's not on the company trying to separate.
Funnily enough, the legality or the liability falls on the company because they're not supposed to collect data on minors anyway.
Oh,
That's a law, which is really funny because even if the kid lies to you, the onus is on the company.
that doesn't make any sense. If you lie, how are you supposed to know? That's dumb.
Yeah.
Laws are dumb. Some laws are dumb. I should correct myself. Anyway, but I don't think that's necessarily a good thing, though.
I admire Microsoft for at least being willing to come out and say it.
Yeah.
I
As
mean,
opposed to sitting in the shadows like YouTube or
a little
Facebook
bit more upfront about it.
and just outright banning you for no reason. At least Microsoft says, hey, we think this way and this is what we're going to do about it.
Mhm.
And there's not a damn thing you can do about it. I can respect that ideal much more than I can many things that go. No.
Yeah. But people will just find a way around it. They'll just start
Oh,
using
yeah.
different words for what they want to say.
It's just gonna be a whole nother round of slang.
Which slang is generational anyway, so this might be a
It's what it's gonna turn into is how on Overwatch the Blizzard stopped people from saying GG easy because people
wait,
upset.
that's good game.
No, saying it putting easy at the end was basically saying like
You suck.
you noob, I'm better than you. Like they like
It's
Well,
taunting.
yeah, it was meant to be. It was
It's
meant.
poor sportsmanship,
Yeah.
first of all, but
So they changed it to where whenever you type that in, it automatically would say it would come up with like a generated thing saying, "Oh, my mom's calling, I gotta go to bed," or something like. It come up with some random thing, and people just found ways around it.
isn't that
like,
insulting the people whose moms are calling them to go to bed?
or so, I don't remember. It was something like that.
I'm just saying.
I
that's
don't
insulting.
remember if
Yes,
that was.
mothers around the world unite and uprise against Blizzard
Yeah.
for
Blizzard's
slander.
making fun of them.
I don't even know.
Not all moms call their kids to bed. Some of their kids are raised well.
I don't remember if that's one of them, but it was something like that. Come up with like an automated response.
Yeah, I know. It's
And-
still funny. Yeah, you can leave it off. We got
Okay.
it actually darkens that corner so that
For
the
the
chat
chat.
could be seen if somebody wants to talk.
So I mean, people just found ways around it though.
So,
and it didn't stop people from like saying it either. It just stopped people from like spamming it in chat.
and I don't think it's gonna stop anything on Xbox Live necessarily.
not.
Like if you have friends that you know locally, you guys are still gonna talk you trash like you do. But the thing I can see arising is like when you guys are just so comfortable saying weird things or inappropriate things that you're gonna end up in an Xbox Live lobby with that one person who, like an adult, can't just leave the situation. And okay, let's be fair, you might run into a kid. That's a little bit different. When I run into a kid in a game, I try to adjust my language, just in general, because that's how I was raised. If there are kids around, you watch your mouth. Not saying I'm good at it.
Some of those kids have worse languages than adults.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand that, but it's still stupid kid. Anyway, yeah, so that's kind of where I just thought it was interesting that Microsoft would come out and absolutely say this is something we will not tolerate. And I agree with you. Some rules are good, but I want to see the definition of how they define inclusivity on their platform. You know,
like where they draw the line.
Yeah, for instance, where is it because, and that's the same thing as hate speech, which I don't agree. I agree that there's speech that is hateful and hurtful, but not that it should be regulated by a law. I disagree with that. I'm of the volition that you should be able to say whatever you want, and that good people will understand when you are being a trash person. You know?
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to define that line where it becomes...
Yeah,
or it becomes a problem, like in legal terms, like it's hard to.
What if it's just? I mean, and what if? In my concern is where it becomes a clash of ideologies, in the sense of I believe that this is okay. You know, you got to figure out what is okay. I guess it's gonna be no more of the banged your mom last night kind of crap, which stupid anyway. I didn't never participate in that, but I heard plenty of it.
Mm-hmm.
I found this magical feature in most games called the mute button.
Or blocks, yeah,
it works
or reports.
really well.
I'm kind of curious to wonder if they're gonna go like the Nintendo route
Morning,
eventually, and they're going to just nix chat altogether.
I don't see that happening. But Nintendo's avoided getting into this argument. I find that funny.
That's
with
because
their chat app.
That's because they don't have that option for people to really.
There are games that you can, like Fortnite.
Very few though.
You have to turn on the developers actually have to turn it on in their system. So within each game, developers can opt to have voice chat or not. And most of them don't. They opt to take it out or to relegate it to the Nintendo's chat app, which I think is fine. I'm not a huge fan of the app, but I see some of the pluses. I see what they were trying to do is just to avoid having to get into that argument at all. If they're not on your friends list, you guys can't chat. And the chat doesn't work without your phone. That eliminates some kids, but it's not going to eliminate them for long anymore. Because most kids have a phone for some strange reason.
That is true.
That's another argument for another time. But you had some thoughts on free speech and Microsoft.
I think it's a dumb idea.
Why?
Because, well, we all are supposed to be responsible for our own actions.
Yes.
And we shouldn't leave it up to a company. Because if we leave it up to a company, then the company becomes a government, and then the government will be deciding all our actions. It's like one step closer. So they should just leave it out. And if someone says something bad, oh, he said something bad. Whoopie-doo. Get over it.
I think there should be a system where they can still do punishment.
Yes, but they shouldn't just be.
They could do something similar to Overwatch, not for the. I don't know if they really do it for the language, but say if you constantly leave games, or you get a lot of bad reports from other players saying, "Hey, you got bad language, you're bad sport, a bad sport,
you're a poor sport, you're a pissy player.
You end up.
Your mom's a whore."
Yeah,
that would be a complaint on my platform.
Of course it would. You eventually once you accumulate enough of those points, pretty much we'll call them points. Once you accumulate enough of those, you start getting into games with other people with similar reports.
Isn't there a system like that already in the game?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, in Overwatch, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
They should do something similar to that. So
Overwatch punishes you.
That's a
yes,
good,
Overwatch punishes you. So if
yeah.
you drop out of too many games and you leave too many games early, or you get too many reports from players, you'll start getting into games with similarly playing players because if you're going to act that way, well then we're going to put you with other people that act that way too.
Yeah. That's a good middle ground. I like that.
Like it's
You can suffer with your own players.
with your own kind, yeah,
That
essentially.
makes sense.
Get
But
in your
it
corner,
comes
pleb.
down to a merit system of people, actually reporting people.
Mhm.
So I know there was one time, like, on occasion I'll report people, like, for the small things. I'm like, okay, well, maybe it's whatever. But there's a couple times where
I said they're douchebags.
yeah, they're just having, they're just mad about
Being
something.
themselves.
Yeah. There've been a couple times where I've reported people, and I'll actually get a message when I log on the next time saying, hey, thanks for your report. Thanks to your report, something did happen with that person. Some action was taken. Either they got
What, they
banned for
tell you?
Yeah, it'll be like a little random message saying it won't tell you the name of who it was. They said at one of your reports was.
Twitch tells you, or not Twitch, Twitter tells you though.
Does it?
Yeah.
Oh, this one doesn't tell you the name. It just says thanks for your reporting. Which
that
if you only reported like two or three people, you probably guess it was one of them.
'Cause I had my friend that had that doppelganger account, and I got a message the next day. This
Mhm.
person was found in violation of Twitch, and it named them, and the account's there, but nothing is on it. I thought that was funny. Like, wow, because I needed to know.
Like I said, that would be a good way to not really censor people, I guess,
Yeah.
but to keep those groups of people out of the general playing field.
I don't know how Halo 2 worked because everyone was too focused on the ranking in Halo 2 anyway. Like me, I just
My
cared
chat's
about
not
climbing up
working.
in rank, and when I went down in rank, I almost had a conniption fit. Turn off my. Apparently, I'm not allowed to change my auto lock.
I say my chat wasn't working, but yeah, essentially like a community-based system for those kinds of things. I mean, obviously, if one person's mad at you and they just say, "Oh, this person was mean. They said nasty things," because, like, honestly,
They're
it wouldn't be like,
doo-doo
oh, it wouldn't be, yeah, they're a duty head. It wouldn't be like a first time offense thing, but like if you got so many within a certain amount of time, I would imagine it would throw you into a certain pool of players, and then after so much time had passed, I would imagine those would fall off unless you kept accumulating them
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
before it would let you out, which I think is totally fine in that kind of sense.
So kind of like purgatory.
Kind of like it's kind of like you're in timeout.
I
You
like
said
to
some bad words and go stick your nose in the corner and come back and
find
like
out. It exponentially gets
a week.
better the more offenses you gain. Which is actually kind of funny because once you swing to the polar opposite end of the pendulum where everybody's just a toxic person.
That's what I mean. You're
There's
gonna
no one's no
one's gonna have fun.
No one's in, no. What I'm saying is nobody on the toxic end of the thing is reporting in each other. So you have like two extremes. You got your purgatory of people that are kind of just waiting to get out, and then you got the people that have just been reported into oblivion. But no one on this side's reporting, so they're just kind of waiting their way back. It's kind of just a funny thought.
Well, if they get into the middle where people in, as you called it, purgatory, they would be downvoting those other people again, so they would constantly be
Well,
going.
that's what I mean. I would love to be able to pick which pool I got to play in.
Oh.
Just to be like, I think today I want to play with some a-holes. I'm in a bad mood.
That'd be an interesting thing. Like,
I guess when you have multiple accounts.
call it Judgment Day.
Like you have your good account, then you have your bad account.
You're a bad account where you just
Right.
try.
You even get a little warning on Xbox Live that says, you are about to engage with people that are known to
Mm.
the community to be toxic. Do you accept?
I imagine.
Yes.
And the
I imagine
second you hit
too.
accept, it curses at you. MF. I'm like, what?
You dumb mother.
Yeah.
I can see it muting people at a certain point too.
Yeah.
Just saying, oh, okay, well, you've lost your chat privileges for the next so many
See-
hours. Like, if you get reported again, like,
I had not heard about that.
what is it? My chat isn't working. Please
Oh.
say it out loud for the rest of us to read.
Let's see. We got two statements here in my most recent chat. Is this
Oh,
like
yeah.
the whole Battlefield 1 banning words white male? I know
What?
nothing about Battlefield 1. I don't play the Battlefield series,
Why?
so I could not speak to that. But it's more about
Huh.
I don't know that Xbox Live would go to limiting voice chat to just friends. I think that personally voice chat is something that should be left up to the developers. if you want it in your game or not, because then it will develop. Then the community around the game will develop. This is a game you want to mute your audio in or not, like not audio, but like chat audio.
Yeah.
And again, like that gradient system, like with Overwatch, is probably the best trade-off. Is people report each other and get
There's a
moved
totem
in,
pole.
yeah, and you kind of slot, and you're on a sliding scale that's constantly changing. Yes, some people are going to falsely report you, but that number will be in the minority. And I have a feeling that it would balance out, like the people that do false reporting. That most of the people that get false reported will all end up in a similar pool.
That kind of does happen. So you
end up with nicer people by being falsely reported, I think. It's gonna look like a bell curve, except as you start heading up the bell, it's actually better in that 85th percentile area, and then the top one is just you just ran into somebody who was bitter.
It kind of does work that way. So because they do look into it, like you don't just get a whole bunch of reports and they're like, okay, well, even this whole group of people reported you for this game, you're in the bad pool now. I think they do look into it, like to see who's like if people are friends with other people and if they're just like mass reporting somebody.
Yeah.
So I mean, there are systems I think in place to keep people from saying, oh, okay, well, like I said, you've been falsely reported by a whole group of people. Like if you get one day, say you just run into somebody and you make them mad and they tell everybody on their friends list, like I think you only report people you've actually played with too, so that kind of negates that as well.
Yeah.
You can't just go find this person and just bombard them with
it's kind of petty
with reports. But say if you're playing with a whole group of friends,
I mean, most reporting systems only allow you to report one time. Like Rocket League, I report players all the time.
This is what I'm saying.
Behavior, and but they won't let you report more than once I try.
No, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying that like to report somebody, you have to have like actually played with them.
So
that way people can't get like their whole friends list behind it. But like
yeah.
you can play with a stack of friends of 6 at least, and you can all report one person. But like I said, it could be a thing where you're like, hey, this person made me mad. Everybody report them. They look into it to make sure that people aren't false reporting all the time.
I'm not so worried about false reporting.
Well, you do get reprimanded for it too.
If you have a gradient system where the number of reports adjusts out to an overall pool on a scale of 1 to 100, with 1 being the most toxic people, 100 being the most either quiet or polite, I have a feeling that even the people that get falsely reported will end up in like I said, it'll work like when you release something into a solution, it dissolves out unless it's soluble, but it dissolves out and diffuses evenly over time. So I think that the gradient would pull them in an area so that you're stuck with a bunch of people that are just fine, even though you've been falsely reported. People that are legitimately reported for reasons like that will continue to get reported, and they will be pushed further down the gradient. And I think it kind of solves the problem. Like, you don't have to really worry about false reporting because it works itself out based on the fact that many other people get false reported.
That's what I'm saying.
And you'll end up in a pool with somebody that's all right.
A lot of the times too, there are actions like that those games take if you falsely report too many people.
I mean,
say if you're literally just going around,
that increases man hours, and then that increases workers that have to be put in there, and that makes positions that are volatile in companies. And as we learned from Blizzard Activision this year, volatile positions are not a good thing, especially when you make records.
Sure, I say that I'm not sure if it's a position or if if it's a bot they have programmed to do it.
It's even worse that a bot is the one making the calls. I don't like the idea of AI regulating everything.
Because I'm not sure. I don't work for Blizzard, so I can't tell you.
No. Blizzard Activision laid off tons of employees this year after record profits. But the reasoning, as I looked into it, came to be most of it was like clerical and game master work within World of Warcraft and their online systems, which are just not as big as they used to be. That's the problem when you have a game that requires constant, monitoring. Once it becomes unpopular, those positions become redundant, and you're now paying 2 people to do a job that one can do, and it's not economically feasible for the company to do that, let alone you have shareholders' rights and the shareholders can say, why is this person being here and being paid if they're doing the job of one person? That in general business, that's not good use of your money.
Mm-hmm.
So I can see where they come from, but the optics of when they did it with record sales was just a poor choice. They either should have found a better way to do it, because I wonder if they did offer restructuring, so an option for a different position within the company, and a lot of people walked. But and then that doesn't even fail to mention that apparently a lot of game developers are actually hired on yearly contracts, as opposed to and I'm curious to see what's going to shake the game development industry with new legislation being pushed in California that's supposed to actually make contractual hiring illegal within certain industries. Yes,
I say because
like gaming in particular is their target. They don't want you to be able to contract hire workers because then you don't have to pay them benefits. You don't have to keep them on. You can just let them go. I think that contract workers are good. I think, as bad as it sounds, I think contract workers are good for games, because game studios are things where the development ramps up. You need hundreds of people, but once that game ships, unless there's another project immediately in tow, you don't need that. It's kind of like those seasonal jobs in the blue collar force. You go out, you do it for a season, and when things are out of season,
then they could specify, like those gaming jobs can be seasonal. Like, you're seasonal until this product is shipped, and that's how they specify it. Everybody else is contract, or everybody else is full. Like,
so salaried or
I think that would work.
Or continuing contract.
I mean, I think that would be a way to get around it. Be we only need you here until the game is done, and then you got to go.
And I just want to define when I mean contractual. I mean, like, these are time limited contract. Yes. It's not like the contract when I go to Sonic and say I want to work here, and they say, all right, you're hired, and we have a contract that I will come to work at will, and they can let me go whenever they want, or I can leave whenever I want. It's not the same kind when I'm speaking. I'm referring to time sensitive.
Yeah, like construction. You're only there as long as your job is needed.
Yeah.
And then you're let go. Not let go, but
then you find a different spot. Yeah, you have to find a different project to work with.
Yeah, same thing with games. I can see that.
I mean, if that's the kind of work that you've agreed to go into, if you're not okay with that, then well, a different job.
Yeah, and
I mean that's I don't mean to sound harsh when I say that, but that's kind of life. You don't like the terms of what you've been offered, well, then there's always something else for you. It may not be immediate, it may not be exactly what you want, but that's unfortunately how life kind of rolls.
That sucks that there's a. So apparently I missed some things here. Jump back real quick to the system that gradient system I was talking about. It looks as though there's already a there are bots that are put out on Reddit that are meant to kill posts. They just downvote constantly.
Oh yeah,
so I don't know that would be an issue on Xbox Live because it's console based. You literally have to have some analog kind of input. So you'd have to build a Raspberry Pi with a controller application that can communicate with the controller. So the Xbox thinks it's a controller, and then it just sends out these commands by spamming somebody's account. Eventually, you will get flagged. And
that's what I mean. The difference between that and like Reddit is Reddit. You can see everybody's posting and flagging anything that you want. With Xbox, in the speech and like with the language
I think I've
issue,
been hit by a few bots.
Is the thing? Well, the thing is though, I think that you have to have some sort of interaction with that person before. Before you can, you can't just go to someone's
legitimately have come into contact.
Yeah, you can't you just can't go into their profile and go, I don't like their name.
Yeah, your friend can't get
their name is Tom, and I don't like it.
And be like, I was playing with this dude, Jack Dorsey's a hoe.
That's what I was saying earlier.
And he was such a troll.
And they get all their friends to go.
No, like not even in the same game. Just like people that like they're at work and they say, go on their profile.
That's what I said earlier. Is that they
You said they were in a party.
No, I said that is a thing that people do now, but I said that's a thing that doesn't happen. Where they say, hey, and they get their whole friends list to go. Because they have to have some sort of contact with that person. So you can't get your whole friend list to go report somebody. If you're stacked in a group, you can have everyone in that group report them, but you can't have your whole friends list to go. So I can't have the whole
I get what
like
you're saying.
yes, 60 people on my friends list say, hey, this one person made me mad. Go to their profile, here's their name, and just report the crap out of
Aren't
them.
you popular? I think I have. After having Xbox Live for almost the beginning, I think I have
This is only on
like 30 friends.
This is only on. I don't know. I have quite a few friends on Blizzard just because sometimes when I play with
You attract people. I don't. I chase people away because I put up a wall. So like as they get to know me, they're. I don't know. I heard this a lot. Like when I went back to school years ago. Like you remember Raphael?
Yeah.
Apparently he did not like me at first. He thought I was an arrogant prick. And then he finally got to know me and he realized that I was just a quiet guy who was kind of serious in class. And yeah. We ended up being friends. But I thought that was funny. I was like, I don't know what I did to piss him off, but okay.
There are some people with personalities like
I kind of
that
put
where
off
they're
an
just
air like that, and I don't mean to. It's just
how
when
you
I'm
are.
intense into something, I'm intense. You can kind of tell.
That's just how you are, and it's okay. I still love you.
I know. Problem is, do I love me?
I don't know. I can't answer that for you.
Yeah, we'll have to talk about that another time.
that's
Is the doctor in? Will be our new segment.
Right, we're gonna do psychology.
Yeah. Yes, we are. It's happening.
Well, I guess that would be a reason to fill that guest chair.
Get somebody new and catch someone on the side of the street. You look like you've got problems.
It'd be 3-1.
So it seems there's a conversation going on down here now. Back to contract working. That Shadow says in their industry that contract workers are brought in for like emergency situations to deal things out, and contract workers like the work because it gives them a fat paycheck over benefits, which is fine because honestly, I see a new development coming in. If I make my prediction in business, I don't think this thing in California will pass. If it does, I don't think that's good. Mandating companies how they can run their hiring processes. And I don't mean based on the idea of no discrimination, but based on the idea is you can't hire contract. I don't think that's appropriate because now you're telling people how they can and cannot spend their money.
Run their companies that they own.
I see a subsection coming up with insurance pools and benefits where it's going to be new benefit companies. It's going to be kind of like the new union or a new union system in that workers will band together to make benefit pools. So it doesn't matter what industry you're in. And obviously they will build a business around this where somebody has to decide, okay, you work on a king crab fishing ship. I'm just throwing jobs out there because that one is known to be dangerous. You work 3 months out of the year, you make a ton of money in that 3 months, then you go home for the rest of the year. But the odds of dying are higher than a lot of jobs. You're out in dangerous waters. If you go overboard, odds are they won't be able to save you. I mean, there's high risk involved. Obviously, if you put that person into your pool of insurance, their premiums are going to be higher.
Oh, yeah, they are.
And there are going to be limits to some of their benefits because they're willingly putting themselves at risk. That's, like I said, that's the business aspect. But I see new businesses arising that are just congregation of unbenefited workers that by making huge pools, and it's funny because, insurances do this by pulling people together, except their end goal is to absolutely make money off of you, whereas the end goal of this thing is more like a union, as they originally were intended, is to benefit everybody involved. So you try to keep the company that manages benefits lean and small, which means there will be wait times to ask questions, but it keeps it from inflating into a big corporation instance where you can't get a hold of the person you need to, and you've got a bunch of redundant jobs, and people are inflating their salaries for no reason. Keep it small and tight, well-oiled, and then people can come to you for benefits. Say you need dental. Are you work in this field? You got dental. So that all the different fields, as opposed to employees. I think employers should still do benefits. I mean, that's the thing of an attractive employer. It's really funny how the whole insurance system in America actually evolved out of benefits out of World War II. because there was no incentive for people to come and work for you outside of pay. And most companies couldn't pay much more than the average company. So instead of saying, well, we'll pay you more, say, well, we'll pay your sick bills. Those don't happen all the time, right? And that's where insurance and benefits offered by companies came into play. And then that just grew into a new industry. And it got out of control when the government decided to jump in, because it's like a ping pong ball. The government lowers what it will pay. And because the government got away with doing it because they can, I mean, it's the government, insurance companies reduce what they pay. At the same time, government increases regulations, which pushes up costs and exponentially inflates prices, while still simultaneously reducing what they pay out. It's a self-feeding system to increase costs on the care providers, but providing no benefit to the other people, because they'll just end up cutting off certain insurance, things like that. That's a whole other conversation. But my point being is that we build up companies that actually protect employees, and that's their idea. That's the whole point, is to give benefits to those who don't offer it at a lower cost than what the other company could have in the first place.
There's another thing. Shelby and Trevor looked into. I think there's a place in Jackson that does this, where there is a medical facility where you pay like a yearly or a bi-yearly payment, and then whatever you need, you can go in and they'll do it for you. So if you need a checkup, you can just go and get a checkup. There's no waiting, because you're paying the yearly fee.
So you
like a membership.
So there are subscription-based models of medicine.
Exactly. So instead of having insurance or all of that, to pay for medical bills, you just pay the facility or a group of facilities if it's like a franchise or whatever, and then you just walk in and you wait in line, and then you.
So kind of like a vacation club that includes a bunch of resorts.
Yeah. Or like
I could.
It's like a Planet Fitness membership.
That might be one solution.
I honestly think that will be a key in reducing the costs of medicine, especially as a lot of doctors are starting to refuse it, and we're getting ready to hit a mass doctor shortage. There's going to be a huge exodus, and going to be a lot of nurse practitioners and physician's assistants. That number is exponentially growing, and the quality of care is not as good. I'm not saying they're not good at their jobs. They are. I've worked with them. Awesome people, but they don't have that same training. But odd and unique instances that a doctor might. Okay. Which is why you would be referred to a specialist. But I think that as that grows, they're going to work on a subscription-based model, because it'll be easier to pull together as doctors and say, look, we can cut insurance out entirely. Mm-hmm. We can cover all our costs by having 1 million people insured at $80 a year, bringing in $80 million. Or not $80 a year, but like maybe like $80 a month for a family of 5, or $100 a month.
Yeah.
Something. Then you own all your facilities. You're not on loans. It's all paid off. And then when you come in, the doctor can get you that service.
Yeah.
Now, the downside I see to that is getting personal with your doctor, or things like that, and I don't see that growing. Because you will have a bigger pool of people coming in. And as that pool grows, unless the number of doctors or physicians assistants and nurse practitioners grows with it, access to a particular individual sound like maybe.
Well, that's where you pay. Well, that's where you pay more, and you go to more exclusive facility where they accept a limited amount of people, to where you get that specialized service. So you pay a little bit more, but you get what you want.
I mean, yeah, I get that.
Yeah,
right?
so
things you just got to be wary of the price inflating again, is kind of where I'm getting at.
Okay.
Yeah. Because that could easily skyrocket. Supply and demand is a good thing, but sometimes those with the supply take advantage of those in demand. And I'm not saying every human's out to be that way, but like when I own a collectible that I want to sell, I will likely not sell it at a good deal to somebody. That is, I'm not going to tell you about $10 average above what it sells for, or I'm not going to sell you like below what it sells for on average. I won't do it, because I like my collectibles. I really don't half the time want to get rid of it. So if I'm going to get rid of it, I want to make a deal on it, and a deal in my favor. So when I do kind of deal like that, I try to make adjustments and account for that because I know that's what I want. I know that influences the decisions I make, and I try to adjust those things, like trying to sell Lego sets. That to be like, it's a really rare Lego set, bro. Can't get it from anybody else. Nobody wants to pay my high price. Well, I'm the only one that has it, so I get to control the market. I actually knew a guy that used to do that in Magic. He would buy up all the promos he could in a region, and he'd inflate the price on the market. I mean, if he controls the cards and it's not readily available in a print, I cannot fault him for doing something like that. I can disagree with the moral of it, but, you know, in my case, I have one individual unit in a set of collections. It just happens to be the only unit on the market. So there I set the price. And I think that in that case, it's fair because I'm not got a backlog of these things to sell.
Well, before we keep like drag on with that too far, we're already like
I know
reaching our limit here. But yeah, he said there are clinics like that already though. Shaz said he said that's not interesting. Yeah, there are clinics that are doing that subscription based.
Yeah,
and it's really funny, because a concern of subscription based is the same reason that insurance rates started skyrocketing in the first place. Is once businesses started offering it as a benefit, they used to actually pay the bills blind, right? So you come in and you just say, well, I went to the doctor and they owe such and such. You owe such and such. Well, Jim would keep going to the doctor and they would never know why at the business. But their cost versus benefit started falling out of sync. They were spending much more money on Jim than necessary, and Jim was going in for everything. Hangnails, stubbed toes.
Fuck you, Jim.
You know, stapled his finger to the desk. But all he needed was a Band-Aid. I don't know what Jim's doing, but Jim has problems. But Jim thinks every single one of them needs to be solved by a doctor's. That got expensive. So then companies started reining in benefits because of Jim. And now you can only go to the doctor under these situations. Now you have to get an itemized bill.
It's kind of one of those things where one person ruins it for everybody.
And that's what I mean.
It happens in all sorts of things, but I mean,
funny how free speech turned into this.
Yeah, I was gonna say we kind of got off subject there, and we have a couple other subjects we still need to hit on for the end of the podcast.
I think we're just gonna hit the one, and then we can save the other one for next week. I have a feeling that'll still. But I don't know. I guess we'll wrap that up with the closing thoughts that I think subscription-based models will really get there for healthcare and benefits, but that Microsoft doing the same thing each is kind of a similar notion of control shifting in. I applaud them for being straightforward and upfront and saying, we are not a free speech platform. If you want it, go somewhere else. I can applaud the ideal. Because you're honest with me, I know what I'm getting into when I get on your service. I have recommendations about how you could make it better while still maintaining that stance. And I think that's kind of where I fit in the whole Microsoft debate as far as the benefits debate and the changing in the industries. There's so much that could be said. I just actually am very interested in that topic. That's probably why I got off. I'll try. What are your closing thoughts? Oh, I balanced this table, please.
Flip it. I mean, we kind of touched on my thoughts on that on it already. I mean, it's kind of like you said, like it's nice that they're at least telling people up front like what their plans are.
You don't get shadow banned on YouTube.
I think they're what?
You don't get shadow banned on YouTube.
Why?
That's what they do. They like this last week there was a wave of banning. Shut people out. They didn't even tell them.
Because?
There are reasons, but we can talk about that next time.
Oh, fair enough. But it's just that they're at least upfront about it. I mean, I think it's going to drive a lot of people away from the.
As it should. Free market will determine.
Yeah. So I mean, I guess we'll see where that leads. But it's an interesting idea at the very least. I mean, I understand that they're trying to do damage control on their end to make it more inclusive of everybody. But I'm wondering how, since they've
How
already,
far it will go.
and how it's going to affect them.
I'm curious.
Because Nintendo's already had that point, because like I said, they didn't have chat to begin with, so they kind of
they
have
opted out of the
they're-
conversation.
Yeah,
altogether.
they're okay as far as whenever they're like, well, we're slowly introducing chat, but Xbox is going the opposite way, saying, okay, well,
Yeah.
at first everything was okay, well now we're taking some of that back. So I'm curious to see how people are going to react and how it's going to affect their
Nintendo's definitely on its own.
yeah. I wonder how it's going to affect their player base.
Yeah.
And if people are going to try and stick with it, or if they're going to move to a different platform simply because of that, or just kind of see where it goes with that.
I think
so
people are going to be lazy enough to where they're just going to go with it. To be honest.
True. I
well,
see that.
some people
I
are
see that.
some people are petty enough. I think they well, screw them.
I'm not gonna undo it. I've enjoyed the service, and I've always been a quiet gamer anyway. So those people never bothered me. Like I said, mute button was my
Thank
friend.
you.
What are your thoughts there beyond that?
Oh,
Your closing thoughts.
I don't think it's a very good idea, but we'll have to see what goes along.
Thank you,
with it.
Shadow.
All right. So then we had one other topic,
Sniffly.
and that is will sequels be or no? Are original movies done for? I'm extrapolating. The actual question posed to me was a concern of how often movies get sequels as opposed to new stories coming to light.
Yeah.
Return of the sequels.
They keep coming.
Dun dun dun.
And my only issue is cash grabbing. Like
A lot of things do end up feeling like
Yeah.
I understand what the
Started falling.
having some technical difficulties.
It literally started falling on me.
That's not good.
We stopped for a second there. I lost my
Sequels.
train of thought. I don't know. Yeah, it does end up feeling like a lot of sequels like just end up being cash grabs mainly. I don't know. It's mainly because it feels like, to me at least, it feels like the quality goes down exponentially. It feels like there wasn't as much thought with the story. It's usually a lot shorter.
Yeah. Well, it's like if it was all like kind of planned out or mapped out for the sequel, then that's
Kind of
cool.
like Avengers.
Yeah, kind of like that, where you can kind of see where everything is connecting. Why there's a purpose for the sequels. But like, if there's like a standalone movie and did really well, and then they just decide to make a sequel of it when there really isn't a need for the continuation of these characters' story.
Their arc was complete.
Exactly. It's like, why?
I can understand.
Why beat that dead horse?
I can
Yes.
understand. I guess my issue comes with like one sequel's not bad as long as it's well thought out.
Yes.
It just feels like a lot of sequels where it was supposed to be a one-off.
the squeakquel,
The what?
I noticed you said that in the text.
the Chipmunk movies, the
Oh,
squeakquel.
get out of
That-
here!
that-
Just
okay.
leave.
Let's be fair. I think kids' movies fall out of that realm heavily.
Yes, they have to.
They
Like
kinda
Land
do.
Before Time did not need number 7, but
Wait.
the next generation still liked it.
Didn't it go to like 8 or 9?
Yeah, I gave up
I
after. I stopped watching after the third one.
I didn't even watch the second one.
I was a
only
big
watched the
kid.
first one.
I was a big. When I say big
Petrie
kid,
for
I mean
life.
like-
Petrie.
I never grew up. I still watch those
I
things.
love Petrie. Anyway,
But yeah,
it comes down to the fact that the reason that they feel like cash grabs, or it feels like they were meant as cash grabs,
Mhm.
is that, like I said, either the quality went down, or the story is not very well thought out. It just feels very hollow, especially compared to the original. Like, how people always say, "Oh,
Yeah.
the sequel's never as good as the original." Well,
Most of the time it's not.
Most of the time it's
Yeah.
not, because it feels like they don't put as much like effort into it. It doesn't feel like there's
Yeah.
like any heart or soul in it. It feels
No.
like they were just like, well, here's this character, here's this other thing that went bad, and now
Split
they're
stories are different though.
yeah, we're talking like literally about just like sequels that weren't originally planned out or that came very shortly after the original just because the movie was
They could,
popular.
yeah.
Like they could have made a good sequel. Like I understand there's some movies where they don't like, they should have just left it.
Yeah.
So Tarzan 2.
Yeah, they could have just left it and it would have been totally fine. They should have
I
just
was
never.
gonna watch it.
They just they ended up ruining it because they were like, oh, well, let's try and push it, like let's milk this as far as we can take it.
Mhm.
But it comes down to the fact that they push out a product so quickly because what they want it to still be relevant because everyone's like it was like when everyone was all up in arms about like Frozen. Frozen 2 hasn't come out yet. They're announced. It's
Yeah, we saw the trailer.
Yeah,
when
the
we went
trailer.
to see what
it's kind of like if they.
Avengers?
How long has it been since that movie came out? Is it 2 years? Since that sequel actually might not be terrible.
Frozen. I think it's older
Well,
than that.
I don't remember.
Well, if
You should know.
But,
You were singing the soundtrack for the longest time.
let it go, honey.
I won't.
But but
A sheep,
Huh?
a drum, and a snake fall off a cliff. Badum.
yeah, leave. It's my podcast now. But
I love that joke.
some of those sequels, it feels like they only do them for the sake of, hey, this was really popular. We want to get as much out of it as we can. Let's push out something. People are gonna go watch it. If it flops, no big deal. And then it just ends up ruining the whole thing.
but
Like
you-
Aladdin 2 was awful.
well,
I enjoyed Return of Jafar. It was just
that
goofy.
was partially because Dan Castanella, whatever however you say his last name, took the place of the genie because Robin Williams wasn't available.
Actually, he didn't want the role originally. Apparently,
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Because
because that genie took over for the cartoon, and the cartoon did very well.
Because I know that he was doing Miss Doubtfire at the time.
Oh, the Aladdin cartoon hopefully will be available on Disney Plus this year.
Was that good?
I enjoyed it.
Okay.
I mean, it made
I
4
don't-
seasons.
Okay, I really don't remember.
So that's kind of like what Shadow was saying.
Yeah.
Like the reason that most sequels do feel like cash grabs, because they're out to make money.
And
Like,
that-
I-
same with
I-
games. Games are out to make money.
I understand. Ooh, someone's called. Oh, you're getting called. But so I can't read the rest of Shadow's message, but it was something similar.
He says he'd love to think that businesses want to be out, just tell a good story, but making money is priority, then story is priority too.
Yeah,
I think unless the story was written and then split apart, and I know people don't like this, but if you write the story and just don't tell anybody and you're like, here's a new movie, and then you test the waters with the first part of the story, the setup.
oh, that's fine. But a lot of them don't feel that way. A lot of them
Yeah.
feel like, okay, well, this was an end.
Wreck-It Ralph
now-
2, for instance,
now
was
we
not necessary.
Yeah, it's like now we have to find some way to force them into another situation.
And I felt I have a love-hate relationship with Wreck-It Ralph 2. It's a fun movie. It really is. But the premise that they set up doesn't fit the characters. Ralph was supposed to have learned his lesson and more about himself and loving himself, but Ralph never did anything with an intent to hurt anybody. And I guess he really didn't in this one, but it really paints him as a bad guy.
Again.
And then I can't agree with Penelope's stance. I agree with the idea of somebody wanting to leave their circumstance, but when she leaves hers, it abandoned everybody in that game. And I know that they continued on, but she was built for that game. I'm kind of like the one, if you're a character for a specific game, you should probably stay in that game. That's just me. Because that was the lore that was set forth in the first movie.
the first movie, like it was a whole thing about going.
You don't ever go to someone else's
You
game.
don't. You don't
except
go
after
rogue.
ours.
What was it called? Going turbo.
Yes. and that's kind of where I was upset with the whole premise of the
That
movie.
they
is
kind
'cause
of just
the
negated
story,
the first movie.
if we
with
look
it.
at story and movie, story, I like the story.
Yeah.
Movie, I like the movie. That set of characters and that story to me did not fit because it broke everything that I loved about the first movie.
It set all the precedents that they made for
It
in the
made-
first movie, because I kind of forgot about that. In the end, the first movie, that was the whole thing, was Herbert was going, well, he was taking over games rather than just going into other games, but
he
like,
also left his game for dead. I mean, granted, she didn't necessarily leave it for dead, but it was a frowned upon thing to leave your game. It's kind of what I'm getting at. Is like it doesn't fit in the lore of that world very well. It's kind of shoehorned in.
kind of.
And and that was the thing. Vanellope wanted to be in the game so bad. That was the whole premise of that. And
But
it was
she
her
wanted-
game.
Yeah.
And so, to me, I don't think that story was right for those characters. I'm not going to dog the artists or the writers for writing it that way. That is their work, and I respect it. I just feel like they could have done a different story for it because I don't know. It made me dislike characters that I liked. It made me like others that I didn't. It jumbled everything up that I loved, because now I can't watch the first movie and feel necessarily the same anymore. And which is sad, So you say sequels come out, they should be good. Or we were talking about a sequel last night, The Crystal Skull.
Well, Shadow
Exactly.
kind of commented too. He's like they built up that relationship between them, like that friendship that they had, and then they just kind of ripped it apart.
Yeah, and
Like they still technically have it, but like that whole point was
Yeah.
that Ralph finally had a friend.
yeah, and
And so did Vanellope, because at first she was considered a glitch, so they were both kind of outcasts in their games.
I figured at that point they could have been close enough to say, "This is what I want. This is what I want." Even with insecurities. But
Did they set up a reason for her change?
she got bored,
Yeah,
Well, I mean,
that was it.
that could be legitimate.
but it still broke the lore of the game.
My. People are trying to contact me, and I'm going to kick some butt when I'm leaving.
It still broke the feeling of the first movie that
Okay.
set the tone, and that's what bothered me, because I loved Wreck-It Ralph more than I
Yeah.
ever thought I would.
That's one of my favorite
But
I
movies.
was very
But that
I-
was her only motivation. Was
Yeah,
she was
Ralph
bored.
was an underdog that was misunderstood,
Yeah.
and this one they make him do it all over again by becoming for lack of a better phrasing, a jealous, controlling boyfriend behavior. He didn't want her to do anything that she didn't want to do, not in a negative way, but like he didn't want her to go. He was lost without her. Couldn't let go to the point where he accidentally unleashes a virus that wrecks the internet in order to force her to come back. And the fact, they add eavesdropping on each other, even inadvertent eavesdropping. Whereas I think that somebody in a relationship that they developed in the first one would have gone, "Hey, why didn't you tell me you're feeling this way?" And she could have said, or she would have gone to him and said, "Hey, I'm feeling this way."
There was a program to do that.
Well, I mean, yeah, fair argument, but I feel like it didn't fit the characters, and it made an unnecessary tension between them. Some things are better left off where they were at.
Yeah,
in my opinion. But yeah, we were talking about the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
Yeah,
I enjoy the movie even with its cheesy vine swinging. As a movie, I think it's okay.
Well, like I said last night, as a standalone, if you leave it by itself, it's okay.
You can possibly group Young Indiana Jones with it.
Yes, but when you group it up with the original three, it doesn't stand a chance.
I didn't think it was as far out as I didn't think it was as far out as everyone says it was, because they took they took that dude's heart out while he was still alive in what was it? That was the Temple of Doom.
Yes.
They did. That's no more fantastical or no less fantastical than Aliens. The vine swinging was absolutely improbable in any sense of the word without magic. So I will give that to critics.
But another gripe of mine about that movie is, so it's about bringing
It's not a movie review.
Oh no, but it has to do with sequels.
Movie review.
But they
We
have.
should pick bad sequels now and do reviews.
Oh gosh.
Well, we're starting here then.
Yeah, right.
This is where it starts.
No, but like, so they have this aliens, or they have a crystal skull. They didn't really realize it was an alien until much later, right?
I thought it was just a crystal, didn't they?
Yeah. Well,
There was just something ethereal.
yeah. So if aliens was the main plot point of the thing, why weren't they more integral in the movie? Like you only like
That was all you heard about him was in
like the last 20
the
minutes?
last maybe like 20-15 minutes.
Oh, aliens now. It's like, oh, come on.
the guy from that show
Aliens.
Aliens.
Oh, there
He
you
just
go.
comes in onto the side.
Yeah, aliens. Actually, that would have been awesome. It's like
If he were
the edge of the screen.
If you
That
were an
would have been
extra,
that would have been
he was
fantastic.
working in one of the sites.
Aliens.
He's like, well, what if
You can hear him in the background talking to somebody.
Yeah.
I heard about the crystal. Aliens.
That would have made the movie like 10 times better.
I would have been totally okay with it at that point. Like that's great.
I can't
Best
dog
movie.
that movie. I enjoyed it.
Best
I know.
Indiana Jones movie.
It was a
ever.
fun adventure movie. It was over the top, just like the other ones. Just over the top in a different way.
Mm.
Yeah, it has its own feel to it.
And I think the whole intent was to pass the torch on to Shia, and I think that's what the movie was kind of building to. I can't speak to the monkey vine swinging because that made no sense. You're not going to keep up with a Jeep no matter. But you can fall at 9.8 meters per second,
But
and
aliens.
that's your acceleration due to gravity, and it doesn't matter how fast you're falling, you're gonna hit a particular
Oh,
velocity,
let's
and you're not
not-
gonna hit your terminal
Let's
velocity.
not get into the actual
I'm saying is,
logistics of it.
You're not gonna get to enough speed built up on these vines.
Okay, that's all you had to say.
Yes.
We didn't have to go into the equation of it.
There's no equation there. I was just saying, you can't build up enough speed falling that short of a distance to keep up with a truck traveling through a forest. Unless that truck is literally traveling 10 miles an hour. Then maybe you got a chance. But from the way the scene was moving, they were moving a bit faster than that.
What if they really weren't?
I don't know.
Maybe that truck was only moving 10 miles an hour.
It's like that whole jungle scene. Okay, I give it to critics. That whole jungle scene was over the top in a weird way.
Yeah.
Like
I mean,
sword fighting on dual riding tandem jeeps.
I'm gonna have to
but
have to
over the top.
rewatch it. I don't remember this part.
It's probably best that you don't. The
I-
movie's better without it.
I only watched it once, I think.
I don't know.
You need to watch Mr. Plinkett's review of the Crystal Skull, and then you'll fully understand where I'm coming from.
I'll have to do that.
It's pretty.
All right, Shadow's gonna
Yeah.
run an analysis for Monkey Swinging versus Jeep next time on Podcast Pending.
All right, even better.
All right, just mark that down somewhere. We have a pen and paper.
How fast would you have to?
Savage.
How high would you have to jump to keep up with a Jeep going?
I'm gonna have
How
to pull
fast?
out
How
the-
fast do you think that Jeep was going
That
then?
Google Measure, the Apple
Like
Measure apps.
60 miles an hour, maybe.
I looked to be going about 30, 35, 40.
35, 40?
There was the initial truck that was cutting down the trees.
That's what I mean. It was barreling through, making a path.
So yeah, I'd say 40.
Yeah,
but-
they had a path. That's the only reason I say, like,
Yeah.
if you were actually driving through jungle brush, yeah, you could probably keep up. But if there was that much of a clearing for you to be driving through, to be swinging while driving through the jungle brush, then the whole point's
Another
moot.
thing is, what about all the stumps that were on the ground? Those vehicles would be all over all the stumps, but no, they're going smooth as butter. It's a movie.
It's aliens.
Yeah.
I mean, why did they need Why did they need extra walkie-talkies in the ET re-release?
Wait, what?
Oh, I know what you're talking, because they switched it out.
Yeah, apparently they digitally edited in walkie-talkies into ET to take the guns out.
What?
Yeah, apparently this was a thing.
What?
I've never seen that version. I only own the original.
Oh, you could probably easily look it up. Yeah, like,
So, like-
there's probably a comparison videos.
Like what? So like they were holding guns and they just replaced
It's
them with
like,
walkie-talkies?
Yeah, like the scene where
He's
when
flying,
they
yeah.
when they first
Yeah,
fought
yeah.
the bikes. Yeah,
Yeah,
they're-
he's got a gun.
but now it's a
pulled.
walkie-talkie.
And he's got a walkie.
Dude,
What's,
dude, he has,
he
like,
gonna do? Throw it at him?
Two walkie-talkies.
That's what I was gonna say.
What?
Who am I talking to?
Just chucks one of them at him.
These were single channel walkie-talkies.
I was gonna say, like,
This one's Frank. This one's Jeff.
they didn't have channels back then.
My name is Jeff.
Oh jeez,
My name is Jeff.
that's silly. That's silly. Okay,
I don't know. I thought that was fun.
I guess.
I don't know, but you mentioned how movies are becoming more like the TV shows.
Yes, because that's all we get are sequels anymore.
Yeah.
So a movie is a new TV show, and I'm betting with data from Netflix, people are probably gathering that most people binge watch anymore when they
Mhm.
want to watch a TV show. Like even I hear about it, with the people I work with people in other fields, at school. The primary thing you do is you binge watch. Like if you want to watch a series, you're just too busy. You binge watch it in an afternoon, or that you have a day off, and then that's it. So for me, like when I talk about TV shows, I can't talk about the TV show on an episodic basis. Like there's some fans who be like, "Oh man, do you remember this scene in episode 1?" Like if I talk about Psych with you, we can't talk episodes unless it's like keystone episodes to me that I just love so much is a favorite. Like Last Night Gus is a really funny episode, but if you want to talk to me about the series as a whole, I can do that because it's all to me one big blur. Because I binge watch it in the background, I just leave it on and it runs through, and so I can tell you the development of the character, the changes in the plots, the things that happened, but I can't put precise timelines on necessarily everything because it's all one movie to me. So I think that Netflix and other companies see this behavior and they're like, well, if somebody's going to sit down for 3 hours and watch our content anyway, we can make a movie and we can just sell you a movie, and we can keep making sequels to that movie. Now you've got a franchise that generates billions consistently. Like Marvel is, I mean, I don't know that I'm a fan of where Marvel's going.
Yeah.
I'll wait. I know I'm a fan of where the Spider-Man's going.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed the Spider-Man movies, and they'll probably, like I said earlier this year, that'll probably be the hero I trail off with, if not Guardians of the Galaxy, because it looks like Thor could live on through Guardians of the Galaxy. I'm pretty sure Hulk is dead in the universe, and I don't mean like, but I mean Universal holds the rights to that character in film. So if that's why there's no standalone Hulk movies, because Universal owns the rights to distribute. So that's why Hulk has been paired with other movies, because as long as he's in a movie and he's not the primary character, they can still release it. I don't know. Oh, that's an interesting development too. I hear Marvel Superhero Island, Islands of Adventure is going away.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, that'll be something for next time.
Yeah, definitely. That was a shocker to me. I almost cried inside.
Like the entirety of it, or
yeah, like they're scrapping it and Disney's getting the rights back.
Ooh,
if I were Universal, I'd make a little corner that was still themed around Marvel, so that they couldn't use it still. It'd be like, we have the Storm Force ride, and we'd have all the characters in the comic shop, and that's the only part of the park that's Marvel. But by having that there, according to the contract that reads in perpetuity, or whatever that word is, anywhere east of the Mississippi, Disney can't deal with those characters or merchandise in their parks for those Marvel characters. I was like, I'd just be a troll with it.
Would.
But you gave me a contract that lasts for life. The company that I am in competition with buys out the company I made the initial agreement with. Yeah, we're gonna be that way. I'll be like, I don't want to help you build your theme park, sir.
Well, that'll be a discussion for another time then.
That's
if we
sad if the Spider-Man ride goes away. That's actually really fun.
We'll have to look into it.
The CGI.
They updated it. It's 4K, redone visuals now.
I haven't seen it since then.
In fact, the one in Japan was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Even though you couldn't understand it, but all the mechanical stuff worked.
It's all context. When someone's going, ah!
Oh, we've ridden it so many times.
There's danger coming, In any language, if someone's yelling, there's danger coming.
Oh, yeah.
No, they're just yelling to be yelling.
I'm going to get myself in trouble, so we better call it short here. We did not get to talk about Stranger Things like I wanted, but we got till July 4th to hit that. But the new trailer I do want to be addressing next week, because apparently things are changing. And I hope Season 3 will be as good as Season 1. Well, 2 felt like filler.
I think they took more time writing and producing 3 to where I think it's more fleshed out.
I hope so.
We'll have to see.
That's my thought.
We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, that's our cliffhanger. So once again, thank you for being up at this ungodly hour on a Saturday that you could be sleeping in and spending it with us. We appreciate it because it can be a chore even for us to get up. And
it is a chore to get up.
Yeah.
Especially when we can't sleep at night.
So again, just thank you for joining us. If you do like what we do, remember to follow us. We do have a YouTube. We have a Twitter, however inactive it is. We do have a Facebook page if you can find it. Apparently that's a thing, not finding it. But
weird.
Follow us there. We're trying to do more updates before shows, after shows. I'm trying to get a little message spams out to all of it. Makes me think of Wolf on Office.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, woofed. But yeah, so have a good day. Enjoy if you're in a storm season, enjoy your storms. If you're in a dry season, enjoy your dry. If it's tidal season, I don't know. Enjoy whatever's going on.
Got hurricanes, enjoy that. Just
ride the wave. But you guys take care. Yeah, have a good one.
Bye.
See ya.
Oh, I actually got the right